Hey, what's up guys, David Johnston here, and today we're going to be looking at the one question that I get more than any other question: what kind of camera should I buy? Alright guys, if there's one question I get asked more than any other question, whether that be on Facebook, Instagram, or email, people reaching out, it's what kind of camera should I buy? I'm looking at investing in a new camera. I'm looking at starting photography in general. And overall, let me just cover this real quick before we get started in anything, is the best camera that you have is the one in your hand. Now, nowadays, everybody has a camera in their hand. They're either using their iPhone or a DSLR or just a point and shoot. I think the main thing that people need to be focused on is learning how to use that camera the best way possible before upgrading. I always say don't upgrade your camera until you've completely mastered the one you have, and the one you have is actually holding you back from creating great images. So with that said, what if the camera you have is the one holding you back? Well, there is a video I made called 5 things that you can adjust to make your camera better. You can look at that video. It's linked below in the description box. But if that's still holding you back, there are options that you can do. Now, I used to use a entry-level DSLR that could create some really great images. And the one question you need to ask yourself is, can an entry-level DSLR for cheaper money get me the images that I need? And overall, entry-level DSLRs have come a long way in creating great images. Companies have upgraded those greatly. And if you consider like mirrorless cameras being entry-level cameras, well, then I guess I still am using one, because I use a Sony a6000 for everything that I'm producing. The Sony a6000 can do tons of things, but ask yourself, what do you want to produce? Are you getting a camera just because you want to take pictures of your kid? Great. Well, that can be an entry-level DSLR. That can be something like a Sony a5100, and all the cameras that I'm going to talk about are going to be linked below in the comment section as well. It could be like a Sony a5100, could be an a6000, maybe you need an a6500 that came out recently. Maybe you need like a Canon T6, something like that. Entry-level cameras that are going to be able to get you the image quality that you want if you don't want to use your phone for capturing those images. What if you want to shoot photos of like the night sky? Well, Sony is probably the way to go, either Sony or Nikon. You want to be sure and get something like the Sony a7S or something like the Nikon D850. These are going to get you the image quality, the low light capabilities that you need to produce. So let's say you want to do like travel photography. Well, I think smaller, compact is the way to go. Something like a mirrorless option rather than a big, bulky DSLR that they've come out with in the past. And there are a lot of great options that are being done with that. Sony is a great option, the a6000, like I've mentioned several times, even the a7R, a7R III that just came out. All of these cameras are going to get you the best options that you need while packing small and compact, and getting you to the destinations that you want to go is going to be key for you. What if you want to shoot landscapes? Well, let's think about full frame versus crop sensor. If you get a crop sensor camera, a lot of times you need to get wider lenses than you normally would, just because that crop sensor camera is going to give you more of a boost in zoom than you normally would based on the technology that goes into that sensor. If you're shooting a full frame, you can get the normal standard wide lenses. Something like a 24mm is going to be just fine if you're shooting wide. If you're shooting crop sensor, something like a 12mm, which is what I use when I go out and shoot in the field. But if you're upgrading to something like a full frame camera, whether that be mirrorless or DSLR, you need to think about what they're coming out with right now. Huge megapixels means huge files. Sometimes the computer you have and even the external hard drives that you have aren't going to have enough capability to store all of those images, or post-process those images too. So if you are upgrading to something like a full frame that can produce images like 50 megapixels, well, that may mean that you also have to upgrade your computer and your external hard drives as well. So keep that in mind when you're looking at full frame cameras as well. I think the main point of this video and what we all need to be thinking about and focusing on is what kind of camera do I actually need based on what do I want to produce. Do I want to be shooting landscapes? Do I want to be shooting at night? Do I just want to be taking photos of my children? Well, that question completely answers your question. You need to look for the camera that's going to match exactly what you have. And the number one thing that I always tell people is don't upgrade to a camera that does more than you need it to do. That results in a waste of money and a waste of technology when you're not even using all of the things that the camera is capable for. So when you're going out and purchasing a camera, make sure that you only buy for what you want to do. If your goal is to get better, well, then you can up your game a little bit more, buy a camera that has a lot more features than you actually need so that you can work your way up to taking those images that camera can produce over time. But always keep in mind, guys, that the camera isn't what's used to produce great images. Yes, you use it as a tool to take out in the field with you to create these images, but the camera is only that. It's just a tool. You don't need it. You don't need some of the technology to produce great images. Everything starts with what your creative vision is as the photographer, and overall your knowledge of composition and constructing a great photograph overall is going to be what helps you succeed in your photography, not the camera itself. Don't rely on the technology of the camera to help you produce these great images. Always invest first in learning composition, creating great images, learning how to construct a frame, and that way you'll be able to use every technological advance in that camera to its full capacity. So thanks so much for watching today's episode. We're going to be releasing a lot more videos, and we already have released a lot more videos than we have before. So if you're interested in videos like this, be sure to hit the subscribe button below so that you get these updates of videos in your email inbox every time we release those. They're going to be coming very frequently, so be sure and subscribe below.